Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Tempest, and today we get to hear from Iris in Act 4, Scene 1. And Iris is one of the sprites or spirits on the island that serves Prospero, in probably not in as voluminous a capacity as Ariel does, but Iris is a sprite that serves Prospero and or does the things that Prospero asks and or does the thing that Prospero asks via Ariel. So anyway, the sprites have recently, and Iris may or may not have been one of them, probably wasn't, we're messing around with Alonso and Gonzalo and Sebastian and Antonio and that whole crew by, like, they made this fancy banquet appear, and then Ariel showed up dressed like a harpy and was like, "You're all terrible people, and remember what you did to Prospero, you were awful." And then they took the banquet away and disappeared. So that whole crew is terrified out of their mind. Prospero has been giving Ferdinand a hard time because Ferdinand and Miranda have fallen in love with each other and have said that they're going to get married, even though, like, they met today. This whole play takes place over the course of like 6 hours, says Prospero at the beginning of the thing. So it's a little bit rushed, maybe, whatever, by our modern standards today. But they've decided that they're going to get married, and Prospero had been giving Ferdinand a hard time because he didn't want it to seem too fast, that whole thing. But at the start of this Act 4, Scene 1, Prospero's talking to Ferdinand, and he's like, I was just messing with you. You're actually a good kid, and, yes, marry my daughter. Take good care of her, and don't you dare take her virginity before you get married, but as long as you follow those rules, then she's yours. And Ferdinand is like, fantastic. And Prospero's like, hey, Ariel, go gather the troops because you were awesome in that last thing that I asked you to do, but I need you to come, like, celebrate some true love. So Ariel disappears for a minute, and Prospero goes back. He's like, okay, so how's everybody feeling? Hey, Ariel, get in here. It's a very quick turnaround. And then Ariel shows up and escorts in Iris, who says, Ceres, most bounteous lady, thy rich lees of wheat, rye, barley, fetches, oats, and peas, thy turfy mountains, where live nimbling sheep, and flat meads thatched with stover them to keep. Thy banks with piond and twilled brims, which spongy April at thy hest betrims, to make cold nymphs chaste crowns, and thy broom groves, whose shadow the dismissed bachelor loves, being last lorn. Thy pole-clipped vineyard, and thy sea-marge sterile and rocky hard, where thou thyself dost err, the queen of the sky, whose watery arch and messenger am I, bids thee leave these, and with her sovereign grace Juno descends here on this grassy plot in this very place, to come and sport. Here peacocks fly amain, approach, rich Ceres, her to entertain. So Iris is acting sort of like the master of ceremonies or the host of this whole thing, and is inviting Ceres to come and bless this union. And Ceres, like, is the sprite of all the things, of all the land, of all the places. So really this is just sort of a long description of the island and everything that Ceres is in charge of, and then sort of a summoning saying, please leave all of that beautiful nature that you have and come here for the sake of these humans. So Ceres does, and they talk for a minute, and there's more blessings, and there's some offerings given, and then Juno shows up, and they're like, Juno is here too, and there's more blessings and offerings, and it's sort of, it's wedding pageantry for Miranda and Ferdinand, in part so that they believe in Prospero's magic, but also in part so that they can celebrate their love and, like, be married. So they go through all of this stuff, and each of the sprites, like, gives them gifts and gives them blessings, says a few words, all of that kind of thing. And then everybody starts dancing and having a grand old time. And then in the middle of the dance, Prospero stops and is like, oh, crap, I forgot that Caliban was going to kill me. And then we've got some reactions to that, because, I mean, that's a way to end a wedding. Anyway, we'll see where it goes from there in tomorrow's monologue. Mwah.